We are off to the races here, coming up on the end of August, August 23rd. So anyway, I will open it up here, let you guys come out. And
recording started?
Yep, recording started.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So last night I had a big lesson.
Uh-oh, is it a good or a bad one?
It was bad.
Uh-oh, that's no good.
I made I printed out like close to 100 cards. I went to an Emmy event. I was all jazzed up, and I forgot my phone. No phone, no demo. Bad. And the room was full of hot producers and directors. And one of them was there was one of my directors from the past, producer and director was from the past was there, and she I don't know why this person is, every time I see her, she gives me the biggest hug and the biggest kiss in the cheek, like I don't know, like a close sister. And it was like, I worked for her for 9 years. I lived in a room by myself. She was on the other room on the fifth floor. I was on the fourth floor. And yet, for some reason, she took a great liking to me, and now she's working on another show. And I told her about my video, and she loves to see it in action. So hopefully they're going to be able to come Monday night to the City Club. City Club Los Angeles is having a media mixer on Monday night, and I invited like over 100 people for the sole purpose to demo the Revelio. That's my whole purpose of coming to the event. I don't care if they make a deal with somebody else. You got to be there to see me in action. But I was like really bummed out, and then my wife had her phone, but unfortunately she has limited access, so there was no Wi-Fi in the building, and she couldn't connect with the Wi-Fi. So it was a lesson learned. And you know how pilots have a checkup list?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a checklist on my car saying phone, cards, pen, notepad. So that's the lesson learned. And then this morning I did I did a Disney run. A friend of mine has a friend from New York, and so now the one from New York saw it, and she just went Google Gaga. So I have a spear going to New York, and then there was a couple who was standing in on the California Adventure side. There's a Hollywood Street, and they have a real neat scenery where it has perspective that you stand in front of it, and you have like this huge street going down behind you. And it's really just cutouts and paintwork. So I said to the couple, I said, take your picture, and I said, yeah. So I have a very good eye, so I really took like 5 great frames, and then I said, in return, I'd like you to show you something, and I wowed them with the card. So I don't know who they are. I don't know what part of the country they're going to. I know they're not Californians. So the point is breaking out of our SoCal bubble and get the word out. And that's my end of my report. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, you just have to get your funnel together. So when you're really good at getting out there and getting them into the beginning part, you just have to figure out how to move them through the funnel and get them to this point of sale. So that's what we got to work on next for you. But I should have your homepage fixed up here by the end of the week, so you'll have something good to send them to at least.
Thank you. Oh, and a quick thing on the Invicta.com. The guy called me this morning from Florida.
Uh-huh.
And I told him that under advice of legal, it's rejected. And he said, oh, okay. And I talked about Disneyland, and I wasn't able to tell him all the details. So let me email you the details, and then you can take it from there. And I was expecting him to like blow up and be all nasty and whatnot. Actually, he was cool. He actually said, okay, fine, I'll look at it, and we'll see what we can work out. And I said, okay, maybe this might turn around after all. We'll see what happens next. But he now knows that I have legal behind me.
Anything's possible when you're selling a domain name like that. It is really important that you do it through an escrow company, because there's so many rip-off artists out there. I sell some stuff every once in a while on Craigslist, and a lot of times right after I post, it's like there's robots looking for new posts, and I'll get these messages sent to me offering to pay more. and do this weird shipping thing where they'll send you a check and then you ship it, and it covers the carrier and plus some for and they're all ripoffs. The checks are no good. So you always want to do that through an escrow company. That way the escrow company holds the money, verifies the funds, and they hold whatever it is that you're selling, verify that that's real. And then once everything is there locked in, then they make the switch and it's out of everybody's hands. So it's a much safer way to do a transaction like that, especially when it's something like a domain where once you release that, there's no getting it back or claiming it or whatever. Whoever owns it. So I did that long time ago. I had a site called electricboats.com, and I had bought the domain for an actual client, a company, and then they wound up going out of business. And so I'm sitting here with this electricboats.com, and I had somebody that had approached me, wanted to buy it. And that was really my first experience with that, with selling a domain. And I talked to a couple people, and they said, yeah, don't even entertain it without going through escrow. So, just like a house, that's why they sell houses in escrow. So it's, it keeps everything on the up and up and legitimate. So anyway, I want to cover something that keeps coming up. It keeps coming up over and over and over. It's coming up with all of our ACT apprentice people. It's coming up with all the people that are going through ACT, and it's like one of the biggest stumbling blocks. And it's the whole idea of really narrowing your focus down to get your first funnel up first. You've got one big idea for one funnel, and so many people they explode with that idea. They want to do everything. They want to cover everybody, and they want to cover every avatar in one funnel, and that's not really what it's all about. It's about figuring out a marketing message for a segment of a market. Now, I've said this over and over and over. Some people get it, some people don't. But when they go to do it, it doesn't really matter. It always comes back and rears its head. And it's like, you want multiple funnels. You want multiple big ideas. You do not have to create a separate product for each one. You could have one product or one service, and you could have 10 different big ideas around it for 10 different groups. In fact, you could have one segment and have 10 different ideas for how to sell it to that segment, because not everybody in a segment is going to move and be moved by any particular message. So the idea is to figure out, your most profitable segment, figure out what's the most likely thing to grab their attention and really build demand and desire within that segment. And that's what you build your big idea around. That's what you build your first marketing funnel around. Now, it's so easy, and I've done this with a couple of the apprentices where we got into the funnel and, things kind of changed. We had our big idea set, and as we were creating the marketing piece, we got the big idea, we got the offer. Those two were locked in. Next step is really to go back and create the education-based marketing. What that does is that leads the prospect through your presentation. It might be in a video, it might be in a sales page, it might be in a series of emails that go out, PDFs. It doesn't really matter how you deliver it. Different delivery mechanisms and systems are going to be different for different audiences, different niches. So don't get hung up on that. We'll figure out what the best delivery system is for you. But as you create that delivery system, sometimes you get better ideas. Sometimes things unlock, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is so much better. And all you have to do is just go back and slightly tweak the big idea to match it. And the reason that you have to do that is because after you get the big idea, the end offer, and now you've got your marketing piece built for the middle, the next step is to go back and create your attention-grabbing headlines for your ads. And those come from the big idea. So if the big idea is not in alignment now with your project, when you go to create your ads, you're going to be off. You're going to have a mismatch. So it's really important as you're creating your marketing piece, you know, your education-based marketing piece, whatever you want to call it, your webinar, your slideshow, your PowerPoint, you know, you can call it whatever you want. But you want to go back and make sure that your big idea still matches that at the end. And if not, just adjust it. Just make sure your big idea is in tune with what you're doing moving forward. Because that way, when you go to create your ads, it will match. And then you don't want to bait and switch. Like if somebody sees your ad and they come in and it's not the same thing, they're going to feel disappointed and they're going to feel misled, and it's not going to build to trust and rapport. So it's going to hurt your conversion. The whole idea of this is to get maximum conversion. You know, we don't want like a fractional % conversion. We want like a high percentage conversion. You know, we want 10% and above. That's what we're trying to do here. And when you get all this right, that's really a reality. You know, that should be your norm, what you're shooting for. If that's not what you're in this for, then this is all for nothing. So oh, sorry about that. I lost the feed there for a second. Okay, I think it seemed like my connection was bubbling out there. But anyway, that's what you're trying to do. If that's not your goal, if you don't want to convert, if you don't want to have a highly converting funnel, then just do what you've always done and just throw a mishmash together, and you'll get what you get. But the whole idea of ACT and the whole principle of all of those is to get conversion. And the only way you're going to get conversion is by deeply identifying with your avatar. The only way you're going to be able to do that is to figure out who the avatar is and have the right avatar. Because remember, one of the things about identifying the profitable avatar segment, because that's where your avatar comes out of, it's a segment of your market. And the reason that you want to make sure you identify the profitable segment is to make sure they can afford your product or service. Because, you know, I use the example, you can't sell lobster on Skid Row. You know, they might want your lobster, but they can't afford it. So if they can't afford it, how are they going to convert? You know, you've got to have everything lined up. So you've got to have a market that's big enough to support your sales goals. You've got to have a market that has the money to buy your product. You know, you can't, again, you can't sell lobster on Skid Row. They just don't have the money. That's not, if that were the case, you need to move on. You need to find a different segment or a different product or service or something, because it's not going to work. And the other thing, just because they have the money does not mean that they have the willingness to give it to you. So they have to have the ability to pay you and the willingness to pay you. So that willingness to pay you is going to come from that delivery system that you create, that education-based marketing. If you can create demand and desire for your product and keep them from price shopping, that's a really important key factor, is keeping them from price shopping. If you've got something that is like the same as everyone else, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to go over to Google and they're going to type it in and they're going to look and see what their options are. And guess what? At that point, you're nothing more than a commodity. So when people are buying commodities, what do they look for? They look for the lowest price. If everything else is the same, why not go for the lowest price? You know, that's just where they land. So that's where your unique delivery mechanism comes in. That's the thing that's different about you that actually delivers the desired outcome. That whole building of desire and demand comes from understanding where your prospect is and where they want to be. What's that look like? How are they going to feel? If you can paint that picture and you can get them to feel like they're already there, and then they realize, oh, I'm not, but I want to be, and you can actually give them a couple of steps in the process to get there, whether it be knowledge or an actual actionable thing where they take a step toward it and they've got more steps to go. The closer you get them to your desired outcome, the more valuable you become. The more value proposition. You're looking to build a lopsided value proposition where they get so much value for the cost, it's a no-brainer. It just becomes like, why wouldn't I do that? I'd be stupid not to do that. That's what you're trying to create. So you want to eliminate price shopping. And again, the key to elimination of price shopping is that unique delivery mechanism. That's the Garcinia cambogia and the diet pill. Remember when the diet pills came out and there was 50 of them on the market and everybody was Googling diet pill, and all they came down to was which one was the cheapest. Now, later on, when everybody realized, hey, none of these are effective, they're not delivering the desired outcome, the next thing was, and the other thing about that was, there was a guy that wanted to sell his diet pills at twice the price, but he couldn't because he didn't have a unique delivery mechanism. So that's where the Garcinia cambogia came out. All these fabulous claims about weight loss attributed to this diet pill, but it was because it had Garcinia cambogia in it. So now the prospects are looking at that of, well, the other ones don't have that. So if I really want the desired outcome, I got to pay the price for it. And it didn't matter. They had no problem paying the price for it because they believed that was the reason that was going to give them the delivery of the desired outcome. And that's why what they did before didn't work. So it totally made sense. We seduce the heart, but we have to convince the head. So the seducing of the heart is those claims. It's the claims of the desired outcome. The heart loves that. The heart is what wants to buy stuff. It's the head that comes and gets in the way. It's and I describe this over and over, and it really is true. The heart represents like our subconscious. It's our little kid that doesn't know right from wrong. All he knows is he just wants what he wants when he wants it. And that's the subconscious. It has no filters. It just wants. It has desire. It wants to be held. It wants to be satisfied. Now the head is the conscious mind, and the job of the conscious mind is to protect the heart. So the head steps in and it says, "Nah, I don't believe it. I don't want the heart to get broken, so I'm going to say no." And that no is based on objections, and those objections are based on beliefs. All of this is part of ACT. That's the core backbone of ACT, is understanding all this. How to create demand and desire. When the demand and desire is created by seducing the heart, the only thing it stands between you and a sale is an objection. And those objections come from the beliefs. And the beliefs could be based on a whole number of things. Might be based on what they've seen, might be based on what they've experienced, might be based on something their mother told them when they were a little kid. It sunk in and it's still hanging in there. May not be true, like how many times did you hear, save your money for a rainy day, or money doesn't grow on trees? All they were really teaching you was not to spend money. Is that true? Is that really good for you? What happens if you just hang on to your money and you don't do anything with it? You're going to lose out. Money is made to be put to work. So, that old saying that mom said or dad said or whoever said it, maybe it was the grandparents, maybe it was right in a certain time. There's a great story about that, about the family that always cut the back end off the turkey at Thanksgiving. And one day the granddaughter little young girl. She asks, Mommy, why do we cut the tail end off the turkey? And she says, I don't know. That's just the way Grandma did it. Let's ask her. And they went to Grandma and they asked Grandma, why do we cut the back end off the turkey? And she says, well, back in the olden days, our oven wasn't really big enough to fit the turkey, so we cut the back end off it to make it fit in the oven. The little girl says, well, why do we still do it today? That's a great question. So that's beliefs. Doesn't mean they're right. So in marketing, we've got to change those beliefs. That's what our job is. We need to take the belief that may be wrong and make it right, because it will help the person. It will help your prospect. It will help them be able to understand why they need your product. Maybe your product's going to help them. Maybe it's going to give them a huge benefit. It's going to make their life better. But if you don't explain it and you don't address their objections, nothing's going to happen. Their life's going to stay the same, and so is yours. And that's really what marketing fixes. It fixes that. So again, back to this whole thing, I want to bring this back to the whole idea about you need multiple marketing funnels, and you need to figure out how to do one first. And that's the biggest problem people are running into. That's a stumbling block, is they get into one and they start getting all these side ideas, and they just get distracted and they never get through the process. So believe me, just put all that stuff, make notes, put it in a folder, but don't get distracted from your main goal, which is to finish your first funnel. You've got to get that first one up and running. You've got to drive traffic to it. You've got to test it. If it doesn't work, it's not the end of the world. I would be surprised if it didn't work if you were following the ACT program, though. If you've understood their desires, their fears, their needs, and you've created the marketing around that to fulfill the outcome of their desired outcome, it should work. And, maybe there might be little things that you could tweak and make it better. You can always increase conversions, but it should work to a pretty decent extent right out of the gate. I mean, it's happened over and over and over. You can look at any other company out there. When they create a marketing campaign that addresses a market properly, and they explain the benefits properly, and they address the objections properly, they're successful. They sell product. They sell services. That's what it's all about. There are certain industries which are better at this than others. Like if you've ever gone to an optometrist, optometrists all have, or I don't know that all of them do, but everyone I've seen has an incredible marketing funnel. They bring you in for a free test. That's their lead magnet. They give you an eye test. And as soon as you sit down, they upgrade you. The first upsell is, do you want us to do I forget what they call it, but it's a pressure test of your eyeball. And the reason that you would want to do that is to find out if you had something coming up that you could potentially eliminate before it's a big problem. Now, your eyes are pretty important. How important is sight to your lifestyle? So you take that pretty seriously. So when they say, hey, for $20, we can make sure that this problem isn't going to be a big deal for you, or we can cut it off at the pass. It's like if you went into a doctor and they said, hey, we have a little test for $20 to tell if you're likely to get cancer, and if you are, then we'll do this routine thing to make sure you don't get it. Is that worth $20? Hell yeah, it is. And you've figured out what's important to that prospect. Optometrists, like I said, they're awesome at that. They have figured out exactly how to educate you as to what's important in relationship to their products, and they sell the hell out of it. They have a very high conversion on that first upsell to that test. And then, you know, they do the tests, and then, you know, the next thing is glasses, and then the next thing is, well, the glasses are really inconvenient. How about we get you into a set of contacts? Now, contacts, those are disposable for the most part. Most contacts are, you know, you use them for a day, you throw them away, and then you got another one. That's kind of like a recurring revenue stream. So why wouldn't they want to sell you up into that? So they give you all the benefits. They give you all the objections. They remove the objections. They make it a no-brainer. You know, so like I said, just look at businesses that are making good money. Businesses that are thriving, even in bad economies, they still thrive. Because in a bad economy, do your customers disappear? No, they're still there. They're still buying stuff. You know, the last bad recession, or whatever you want to call it, I could not get a first-class seat on an airplane. People were buying the first-class seats, and everyone's screaming the world's crashing, the sky is falling. Well, those people are still spending money. It's the matter of some of the companies are figuring out how to market to those people, and some are not. So that's the choice. You know, that's what ACT is built for, to give you the roadmap, the blueprint for how to do that. So anyway, let's open up here if we've got questions. Anybody got questions for the day here?
Really? Nobody? Don't let me get the floor. No, here's Russ. Go, Russ.
Look like Russ is ready to take the floor there.
Hi, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Let's get this started.
Let's get started. That's it. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, so I just want to say to John, thank you for that pep talk. He's absolutely right. I am one of the apprentices, and I've been struggling and struggling and struggling, and it's just getting that first damn funnel completed is the whole thing.
And Russ, I don't want you to feel bad about that, because you are not alone. I am right there next to you with my own.
I think so. I think a lot of people are in that same boat. They don't realize how much work it is.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. I mean, your graphics, I worked on your graphics for, you know, for your PDF thing. I must have spent probably 5 hours working on all those images. Did you notice I actually shrunk the poles and made the umbrellas stand out better?
Oh my God, they're amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know how much time you spent on it, but they're amazing.
Yeah, they came out really good.
Yeah, they did.
So anyway, yeah, it is. It's a process, but it's a process that's so worthwhile. I mean, when you get to the end, you've got something that's like worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, I just can't wait to get it completed, get it tested, see how it works, and that's going to be, you know, a big load off my mind to actually prove or disprove that the process actually works. So I can't wait to get through it.
Yeah, one of the things that I do, and this might be helpful to you, or you know, to some of you guys, is your mind is a really powerful computer. Most of us just don't really know how to use it. And one of the things I've learned this from NLP, and you know, how the mind works and all that. The mind is its function is to answer questions. The thing is, you got to ask it the right questions. If you ask it the right questions, basically it's like a computer. It runs a loop working on the problem until it comes up with a solution. How many times have you like been in a conversation and you can't think of the name of something? And you're like, oh man, it's on the tip of my tongue, and then you forget about it, and then 10 minutes later, bang, it pops out.
Right.
That's that loop. That loop is running looking for the answer. As soon as it finds it, it brings it forward.
Mm-hmm.
So like what I will do, the best time to do that for yourself is while you're sleeping. You know, if you think your brain goes to sleep when you do, it doesn't. So that's the most peaceful time when your body's at rest to let your brain work for you. So like I will quite often, like right before I go to bed, right before I like fall off to sleep, I will task my brain to figure something out. Like I'll come up with like, what is the most converting headline for X product, knowing that the prospects want this desired outcome? And I'll be very specific about it, very specific about the question. Because that's like I said, you've got to ask the right question to get the right answer. And I do that quite often. And I did that last night with the umbrellas. And it was pretty funny because when I woke up, first thing, when I opened my eyes, I had the answer. And I'm like, I've got my cell phone right on my nightstand with the notepad thing. So before I even, throw the covers off of my cell phone's the first thing I grab and pop the answer in, because I will forget it.
Yeah.
If my feet hit the floor, something's going to happen and I'm going to get distracted and poof, it's gone.
Right, right.
So that's like the first thing. And even sometimes, I'll have it, I'll like say it silently in my head and I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. That's perfect. And by the time I even text it out to myself, it's not the same. It's like I got to get to it fast.
I'm the same way. I got to have a notepad and a pen right next to me. Write it down before I forget.
Yeah. So that's something, if you guys are struggling with headlines and stuff like that, that's a pretty good way to give it a shot. And maybe it doesn't work for everybody, but I've told a lot of people about that. A lot of people have come back and said, wow, that really worked. So I think there's something to it.
Oh, yeah, it works.
And the other thing, from the past, I look at that whole thought process of asking the right questions. And when I see, I've got a lot of people in my life, a lot of friends, a lot of family. Most of them are not in business and most of them struggle to get by, barely make ends meet. And it's interesting when I compare those people to my friends that are in business and are successful. They ask very different questions of themselves. Like, for instance, I've got nieces and nephews, and they might see some new car come out or something that's really awesome, and it would be like their dream. But the question they'll ask themselves is, why can't I have that? And if you ask that question, that's the wrong question, because your brain is going to come up with every possible answer of why you can't have it.
Why you can't have it, exactly.
You can't have it, yeah. And guess what? You're never going to get it.
And then my question would be, how can I get it?
Exactly. Exactly. What do I have to do to get one of those?
Yep.
Every time I've asked myself that question, whatever it is winds up on my driveway pretty quickly. So it's really, we are, as human beings, people really don't acknowledge how powerful we really are. Our mind, the power behind us as beings is incredible. It's so unutilized. It's ridiculous. But and that's where we just need to take a little bit of that power, put it together to understand who we're selling to and what's important to them. And all we got to do is put that down on paper or put it in a video and deliver it. That's really the job at hand. And it's way easier said than done.
Way easier said than done. That's right.
But at least we have a process for it.
Yeah.
Think about how difficult it would be if we didn't have a process. It would be unthinkable. It would be impossible.
Exactly. You have to have a process, and fortunately, we have you in our court that make it so simple. It's just a matter of taking the time and going through it and sticking with it. And it's a long process, longer than I expected.
Yeah. But the thing about that is it's only long now because it's part of a learning process for you. It's a learning curve. Think about after you get your first one done and it's working. How easy is it going to be to duplicate it and make another one? How long will that take? Probably not very long.
Mm-hmm.
It's like anything else. You know, it's like anything else in life. The first time always takes longer. And then once you know how to do it, you're comfortable with it, you'll go through it a lot faster. A lot of times we drag just because of our own hesitations. You know, I don't know how many times I've been held up in my own process by my own hesitations. You know, it's like, is that what they really want? And you know, it's a stumbling block.
Right.
Definitely gets in my way. So, but I am pretty excited about, you know, all the apprentices, everybody that's going through the process. It's really awesome to see the stuff coming together. And it's like, you guys are all really close together on this too. So I think everybody is going to hit the finish line about the same time. And when you think about it, you know, yeah, it seems like a long time, but it's really not in the scheme of things. Like, look at how long you may have been trying to get this before and really weren't getting anywhere. So, all right. So Gregory says since 2013. I think some people will go back a lot further than that. That's awesome.
2010 for us.
Which one? What was it?
2010 for us.
2010. Yeah, Russ says 2006.
Beat that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, you know, if we get it done in 3 months or 6 months, that's a drop in the bucket for how long you've been struggling and really with no end in sight. At least now we've got our sights set on an end in sight. We're not that far away. But this, you know, this process, marketing in general, it's not a one-time thing. It's not like a flu shot. You know, you don't do it once and then, you know, you got no worries, because things will change, markets will change, demands will change, consumer awareness will change, and that could potentially affect your conversion of your funnel. You know, you're doing it right now, and hopefully it should work for the right now, but you need to get really familiar with why it's working, what you're doing, so you can repeat it, you can change it, and you can move as everything moves forward. You know, there's a lot of opportunities. If you see like a lot of the online marketers, they're really good at this. They've done so many funnels, they can knock them out so fast that they can actually take advantage of trends. Like, they'll see a trend on the news and they'll take advantage of it. You know, they'll see something that's coming up that's going to have a lot of promotion, you know, a lot of buzz behind it. You know, a lot of times there'll be international tournaments or the Olympics or, you know, something like that, and they'll get onto it. They'll find a product that's in alignment with that buzz, and they'll just get in the middle. It's like the railroad, the train is coming. All they got to do is find the railroad tracks and lay down in front of it, and they're going to get run over. You know, that's kind of like what I did with internet marketing to begin with, like the whole internet. I saw the train coming. I could hear it roaring down the tracks, and I got in front of it. You know, way back in 1995, I could see it coming. Most people thought I was crazy. They did. I was told I was nuts. I had my father-in-law said, "Yeah, I wouldn't put my eggs in that basket." And, you know, boy, were they wrong. You know, that was probably the best business move I ever made, was getting involved in the internet, you know, selling hosting and web development and SEO and services. now training and, marketing and marketing training. It's been the best ride of my life. So that's what you got to do. You've got to, when the train's coming, just get in front of it. Good things will happen. It's not like you're going to get hit by the train. It's going to bring you a flow of business. That's what I'm talking about. It's a metaphor. So anyway, who's next? Anybody got questions? Cheryl, I see you're on. We haven't seen you in a while. Hopefully things are going well. I think you're in Florida still, but anybody got questions here before we wrap up for the day?
Okay, me again.
Go ahead.
When want to go? Okay. All right. How's your boat project coming?
The boat project is still in the works.
Okay, I'm still signed on to be first mate.
All right, you got it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I did my sea trial, and it's quite a process. Buying a big boat, is quite a process. And one of the things that you have to do is the brokers and stuff, from a legal aspect, they won't just let you buy it. You got to jump through some hoops. One is you have to have it professionally surveyed. And this has nothing to do with marketing, or maybe it might, I don't know. But they make you haul it out of the water. It's got to be checked, like from stem to stern. Everything is checked, tested, verified, so you know what you're buying, and even from a legal aspect. And as we went through that process, we found what Chris McLean refers to as some hairs in the soup. So,
John, jumping off on what you just said, that is the whole thing of what we're going through. We talk about the funnel, we talk about the process of getting it out of the water, getting it in the water, testing it, making sure that we're on the right track. What you're going through on that boat process is nothing more than applying it to our businesses in the largest context of, let's say, take the word boat out and put in
business.
A hair product. Take out the word hair product and put in Revealio. Take out Revealio, put in ID. So it's still the same superstructure. No, and it's good hearing it from you in reality and practice, because reality and practice is what it really influences my mind. This is the biggest problem I have with trade schools. People talk about, how much money you make, and then they would go and choose an example from 2014 and 2015 and work in class in 2017 and 2018. I'm going like, hindsight 2020. What did you do in the last 30 days? Where is it at in the last 30 days? Show me the proof. Show me the performance.
Yeah. That's exactly right. That's what it's all about. But some of the things we found was the biggest issue was when you buy a boat like that for tax purposes, you want to buy it in an LLC so you don't have to pay the tax on it. And you're not really buying the boat, you're buying the LLC. So you're buying basically an existing business, and the boat is an asset of it. So in the process of that, one of the things they do is they look up the legal aspect, and they found that there was a lawsuit against the LLC that had not been settled from the past. And I'm like, I think we might want to clear that up before I buy that thing. And then they run very detailed tests on the engines and all that, and they found that one of the two generators didn't hold up to the load test, and it had a little moisture in the oil. So we're getting that looked at further and making sure that that's an easily fixable thing and not a big problem. So anyway, as far as my boat venture, that's kind of where we're at. I'm not sure if this one's going to fall out due to the issues that we've found, and I might be back in the search, or if we're going to be able to iron it all out, go through with it. So it's an ongoing process. All right.
Okay, Gwen, go ahead.
I was just done this. I was kind of going to change the topic if we're done with the boat.
Sure. Yeah, we're all done boating for the day.
Well, I'm not opposed to boats. Has anybody done any advertising on LinkedIn?
Um, there's Justin who's in the group. He kind of specializes in LinkedIn, and I think he does the ads as well. I haven't done any myself personally, but I think that's one of the first places I'm going to look at when I start getting ready to run my ads is on LinkedIn.
So I was looking between that and Facebook, and as Facebook's pulling back more and more of their what do you want to call it, classifications that you can pinpoint.
Yeah.
I've been looking more at LinkedIn and just was trying to figure out if I want to test run one and see if it works or not.
Yeah. What Gwen had just mentioned there about Facebook pulling back, I think they've gotten into some legal aspects in their ad department because they were revealing too much personal information about their database. A lot of stuff, regarding security and privacy going on, with the GDPR stuff and all of that. And now they've actually created new laws in California about that almost match the GDPR to a T. So you can expect some stronger privacy stuff coming through everywhere. But anyway, relating to Facebook, what that's doing to us, the ramifications on us is when we go to do ad targeting, we can go in there now and we can target people by a lot of personal behaviors. We can target by annual income, which they're about to remove because that's a personal thing, and Facebook revealing how much you make is a privacy issue. So some of those things that they're revealing about those personal things, they're about to remove. They still offer it right now, but if you go to run an ad right now and you target something like that, you'll get a message up that says this is going to be removed shortly. They don't say when, but they just say it's going to be removed soon.
I think I saw it say like September 30th.
Okay. They have
totally
a date to it
out.
now? Yeah.
Yeah, but I just did a trial Facebook post. I did it just a boosted post on my Kartra ad.
Okay.
And, the option not there that were there a week ago.
Okay. Yeah, they're really getting ready to tighten that up. Now, again, whenever something like this happens, you always get everybody that says the sky is falling, sky is falling. It's not that bad. You can still target based on people's likes. Like what you want to do, if you want to create an audience, what you want to do is you want to find like the major gurus in any niche. And then you can get into that group, you can follow that group, you can participate in the group. And if it looks like, hey, these are really good prospects here in this group, all you have to do is just go into Facebook and say, I want to make an ad with an audience of anyone that likes this group. And then you can target the whole group with your ad. Like you can go in there and say, I want to target people that like Frank Kern. I want to target people that like Ryan Dice, or I want to follow people that like and follow digital marketer. So that's a really good way to do it. So it's not the end of the world. There's always sunshine on the other side of the card. Just flip it over. When they take something away, all it does is it just makes us work a little harder to get the same advantages. Doesn't mean the advantages all disappeared. In LinkedIn is really a good platform if your target is business owners. I think several of us in here target business owners. Not everybody, like Russ, your LinkedIn probably wouldn't be a good spot for you because you're targeting consumers. You're after moms and people that are concerned with cancer. Those aren't necessarily business owners. But a lot of us do target business owners. And if that's the case, LinkedIn's a good traffic source. the first thing you want to do before you run an ad in LinkedIn is you want to go through and you want to make sure that your profile is set, that you've got that right. Most people make a big mistake on the profile on LinkedIn. They go in there and they make it almost looks like a personal who's who. Most people, they want to see what your credentials are and they want to see where you went to school and all that. But I see people that are making a profile in there and they're writing out text as though somebody really cares and wants to read their biography. That's not what nobody cares about us. All they care about is themselves. So on your page, if you go in there and you write marketing material, let's say, let's just do something crazy and let's try and turn that LinkedIn profile into a marketing page, and let's focus on what you do that's important to them and what they get out of it, and what their benefit will be from contacting you. I think your results will skyrocket. I think your conversion will go up a little bit. And it's the same for anything. If you've got a Facebook business page and you're talking about how great you are, nobody cares. All they care about is what you can do for them. Three-dimensionalize your benefits. That is really a game changer. When you three-dimensionalize benefits, and if you don't know what I'm talking about there, you're going to want to go through the ACT training. It talks about how you three-dimensionalize benefits, where they can hear it, see it, feel it. It literally brings them back to life. It changes the game. When you three-dimensionalize a benefit, all of a sudden now that becomes very important to them, because not only can they see why it's important, what it's going to do for them, they actually get the feeling of it's already done. And that makes them want it even more. So, that's a really good way to build demand and desire, is to get them in a situation where they feel like it's already there. They already have it. And then they look around and they go, oh, wow, I don't have it yet, but I really want it now. It's like the new car thing. When you go onto a car lot, what's the first thing that the car dealer wants you to do? They want you to drive it. They want you to feel it like you own it already. And then you get out of it and you realize, I don't own it. I need to own it. Let's sign the papers. That's an age-old technique. The puppy dog clothes. Let's hand them the puppy. Don't let them look at it, talk about it. Let's put it in their hands and they take ownership. That's what three-dimensionalizing your benefits does. That's the practical application of that. It's the puppy dog clothes. Let's let them feel it. Let's let them hold it. Let's let them own it just for a second. And then you take it away, and then they want it all the more. So it's really powerful. And people haven't figured out how to do that if you don't have a puppy in your hands. And obviously online, we don't have that luxury. We can't hand you something across the screen. But we can get inside your head and we can paint the picture and we can create the feeling if you're good at it. And to be good at it, all you have to do is know the process. So that's a really key factor there. Three-dimensionalizing benefits. Very powerful. All right, let's anybody else before we wrap up here?
Hey, John.
Yeah, go ahead. Who's that?
Hello, John.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello. Hey, it's Chris. I'm driving through Michigan right now.
Oh.
And you're nationwide now, pal. You're spreading the word all over.
Awesome.
And I'm 3 miles from a Cracker Barrel. Come on, let's go.
Oh man, I'm there with you. Three-dimensionalize it so I can experience it.
Oh my God, there's a Cracker Barrel on every exit in Michigan. It's great. Hey, I just want to say there are 3 more people interested in John Limbacher and ACT program in Kartra here in Michigan. I had really good. I've been visiting people. Yeah, and long story short, I hit a couple for the past 2 nights, old friends, and Michael is a award-winning architect. I mean, they're going to build a new room in his office for all the awards, and but his biggest thing now is get more people is marketing. And so what I'm telling him is like, well, what are the 4 things you do? And they do like restoration, new construction, green, green, and like some other aspects. And I talked to him, he was like soaking it up. It's like, are you segmenting your audience? Are you giving a specific message to, the individual things? And the whole thing started when he said, I said, how's business? He goes, oh, it's okay, but I'm doing the marketing now. And I was just informed last week that my website company is going out of business. And I go, hey, when a website company is going out of business, that means they don't know anything about marketing.
Yeah.
They don't. And anyway, so I started talking about Kartra and, all the different aspects of it. And he was very interested. So he's going to Kartra, and I gave him Internet Dominators, and it's like open up a whole new world. Anyway, his wife, Cindy, just wrote a book, and it's on like environmental impact, how to protect yourself from environmental, pollution on a day-to-day level. And I said, who's it written for? She goes, everybody. And I go, no, it's written for new mothers. How to protect, environmental impact to protect your babies. And it's also for millennials. And I said, why millennials? You can get it in the curriculum at colleges. Why? Because it's written for millennials. Anyway. So I said, you really need to, learn about the ACT program and how to segment and things like that. And then finally, I was at my old high school, which has a new building. And they take on a alumni tour and all this stuff. And it's the famous high school, Catholic Central in Detroit, which is state champions and everything. It's all male school, and it's a great thing. I'm talking to the director of alumni relations, and I say, basically, your job is to raise money, isn't it? He goes, yep. And what I'm getting at is they're sending out a message to all these alumni over a 50-year period. And I go, no, what's your tagline? But they're so proud of a new video that has no call to action. And the tagline is, help us grow for the next 90 years, or keep us growing for the next. And I go, man, if you can segment your audience, those who play football, and take that same video and do 25% of it of football-related things.
Yeah.
Those that were in the band, show them scenes of the new band room and the band performing. In other words, you make that video about their favorite experience, and the emotional contact will be greater. And you take the same 75% message, but just tailor it towards them. And then the tagline is, for the football guys, help us keep our players safe and our teams strong. Or the music, help us give our band a strong voice in the year ahead. It's like, it's a message that appeals to everyone. And so now the director of alumni relations he wants to get on the Kartra call next week and find out what this is about.
Oh, that's awesome.
So anyway, it's just always interesting. People are in charge of fundraising or marketing. They just don't know about segmenting, as I did not. And it's really interesting to open this up to people's minds, and to all take down names, number, and websites of what you're sharing with them. So there you go.
Yeah, well, a really cool thing with that, like if you had a database like what they have, you could actually just keep it in one database, and you could use tags. Like you could go through and you could tag everyone with the year that they graduated. You could tag them with the sport they were in. You could tag them with the activities they belong to. And then when you go to send an email blast, you can segment that blast by tags.
Exactly. That's exactly what I said.
Yeah. At some point, you might want to make reference to something, about the class of 1957, and you could hit them because of the tag.
Oh, that is interesting. That the email you send is all about your class and who's doing what, or famous memories, or show some photographs. They're big on photographs and all this other stuff, but it's specifically to your graduating class here.
Yeah, another thing that you can do, this would be really cool. Because of the tags, you could create merge fields in your email that would actually pull the tag and plunk it into the merge field. So when you sent the email blast, you would just put
Yeah.
year, and then it would pull the year in for them.
Right.
So each email
Right.
would be unique based on that those merge fields.
Right.
That would be
And
really
you know what? That would be a good technique or strategy. You know what? I asked him. I said, well, how are you segmenting your alumni now? And he said the data they segmented into who's donated recently, who's donated infrequently, who's not donated at all. In other words, like that's his data. That's his data. And he goes, well, how do we? Says we got some information because we got a roster of who played this, just like who played football and who was in band, but we don't have. And the school has so many activities, we don't have that. And I go, well, that's fine. You send out a questionnaire.
Yeah.
That says,
What you just said there, how they're segmenting, that says a lot for what's important to them, because they're segmenting by who donated to the charity, who donated often, and who didn't donate at all. And if you think about it, if you sent emails out to those 3 categories, you would speak a different language to each of them.
Yeah.
Because the ones that made a single donation, what's your goal? Your goal is to get them to donate frequently. The ones that donate frequently, your goal is to get them to donate bigger amounts. And the ones that have never donated at all, your goal is to get them to start donating and let them see the value of what that would do for them, what that would do for the alumni and all that.
Right.
So that's a really, really cool thing to bring up because, again, it's marketing to what's important to them. That's effective marketing.
Yes, exactly. Because here's the thing, we walked around the school and we saw all this stuff and we started talking about marketing towards them. But he showed me the new football thing and the new gymnasium and the art department. And we finally got in high school for the first year and a half, I wrestled. I was a wrestler. I loved it. But I had to stop that and actually I had to work my way through high school, sophomore year on. And I had to pay my own way through school. So we got the thing, and we got to the wrestling room, and I said, oh, man, this is what I was waiting to see. I remember the sound of people, slapping on the mat. I remember the push-up bars. I remember the photographs. I remember this. It was like we spent most time and I related to all these things. And when we got back to the office, I said, you showed me all around the school. I've never been here before. I feel like I haven't donated in a while. Let me ask you a question. What was the most best memory I had in our tour? And he goes, when you went to the wrestling room. And I go, right. So if you were segmenting people on your list for donations, would you show them pictures of the new chemistry lab or the football weight training? No, you'd show them, or the new, you know what I mean? And like the light bulb started to go off. It's like whatever has an emotional appeal to me gets me to want to support the school. And so one thing he was talking about is, one thing I suggested again is getting the data, send out a questionnaire. What was your favorite activity at Catholic Central? And then when they send that survey back, what's important to them. And he goes, what if people didn't participate? And I go, Then you send out another survey. It's something to the effect of, we're planning the best for our students here. We want to make sure we give everyone a fair shake, with the resources. If you could go, so we're reaching out to our experienced alumni. If you could go back and do it again, what would you have done different? What would you have done? What activity would you have done to help us kind of, figure out what's important? And so now even people that didn't participate will talk about, well, anyway, I'm going on. But all I'm trying to say is that there's just ways to ask questionnaires of what's important. And then when you target, as you were saying, when you target them and spice it up with what's important to them, compared to someone else, that gets the emotional response and the donations flowing. So anyway, they were eating it up because they've never heard this before. So anyway.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you might have some new recruits from Michigan. I'm spreading the word, spreading the gospel, John.
There you go. That's awesome. That's what we like to hear.
All right. Well, anyway, just wanted to say hello.
All right. Well, looking forward to getting you back here and go and have some sushi.
Oh, I'm there, pal. Let's do it. All right.
Yeah, we got a new sushi place right across the street. That's awesome.
No way.
Yep,
I'm there.
right on our corner. So,
Wow. I'm thinking you ought to just open a sushi. That's what I'm thinking. Let's just get down to it. You need to open you and Barb. It's like it's like Limbacher sushi. Oh, it just sounds delicious.
yeah.
Open your own sushi place, and you get a great deal on sushi.
Oh, I'd probably go broke. I'd eat up all the profits.
Yeah, that's like an alcoholic opening up a bar.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
not a good idea.
All right, cool. Well, see you soon.
All right, well, sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for today. Thank you guys for participating and getting on here and helping the group move forward. So keep it going, and we'll see you guys next week. Goodbye for now.